Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nathaniel Kemp reporting for worldpoliticsandbusiness.com. Well, it's been an interesting week here in the United States, and right now, this should be considered a red alert article, and I'm going to tell you why. Homeland Security, Department of Justice, have all come together with a group, actually a new group, called the Strong Cities Network. Now, I want you to listen to the key words here. This launched on September 29th at the United Nations. Again, mission creep. This is something that should be a red level alert to everyone, but no one in the mainstream media seemed to pick this up. Now, everybody else in the alternative media have, but no one in the mainstream media even touched this story. Now, I tried to call the Justice Department to get some sort of reference and idea as to how this was supposed to play out. No one would comment and no one would talk to me regarding this information. Now, this is the Strong Cities Network. What it's supposed to do, along in conjunction with the UN and other cities around the world, is to build an anti-domestic terrorism group. And it's supposed to be built right here in the U.S. with UN peacekeeping soldiers. When you dig further into this program, you'll find out even more information than you want. The problem is no one's been reporting on it other than, like I said, alternative news outlets. What bothers me the most is that when I called there, no one would comment. No one would even talk to me. I was supposed to have gotten a call back a week ago, and no one has called. So I returned the call to find out if I could get a comment. No one wanted to comment. So let's step back for a minute. How did we get here? What caused all this? Why are we at this place in time? Again, it is the launch of the Strong Cities Network to strengthen community resilience against violent extremism. So who are they targeting? Are they targeting ISIS? Maybe Al-Qaeda operatives within the United States? No. They're targeting everyday individuals like you and me. Yes, I said it. Obama is a liar. He is a fraud. Just like I said about Bush, I'm saying this about Obama. And his other little henchman, Loretta Lynch, is involved knee-deep in all of this. So again, I ask the question, how do we get here? Let's start with the MIAC report. I'm sure everyone remembers this. They make references to people who believe in a New World Order, which has conspired to exploit the working class citizens. The United Nations troops were thought to be already operating in the United States in support of the NWO. Believe it or not, George H.W. Bush, I call him Poppy Bush for opium, even made a speech regarding the New World Order. But I guess that was just supposed to be a conspiracy theory. Joe Biden recently, at a West Point graduation, made a statement regarding that they need to be involved in creating this New World Order. But then there is an updated version of a MIAC report, and I want you to see what it lists. And you read on, you say, really? Anarcho-masculinism, anarcho-feminism. Oh yeah, they go after everybody. Syndicalism. I guess that's what it says. Anarcho-privatism. Oh, this is going to really blow your minds. Green anarchism. Wow. Eco-anarchism. And here's the one that really gets me. Christian anarchism. It's the belief that there is only one source of authority which Christians are ultimately to answer to. The authority of God. The embodied teachings of Jesus. So if you're a Christian, I'm going to show you how they word this. Christian anarchists feel that earthly authorities such as government or the established church do not and should not have power over them. That's not entirely true, but this is how they have lumped it in together. They've lumped it in with people who are environmentalists, anti-abortionists, even feminists are now considered terrorists. And yes, they are radical, anarcho-punks, whatever those are, anti-racist. That's right, the Anti-Racist Action Network is a decentralized network of anti-fascist and anti-racist activists. ARA activists organize actions to disrupt neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups, but they're labeled as possible terrorists. Really? You would think one would welcome something like that. Oh, here's the one that really gets to me. Cop Watch. Now, I'm going to show you something from the FBI's own little banner. Let's start with the front page of this. And I'll see if I can actually bring this a little bit closer. There you go. Domestic terrorism is defined groups or individuals operating entirely inside the U.S., attempting to influence the U.S. government or population to affect political or social change by engaging in criminal activity. So let's talk about the criminal activity. So shouldn't that mean that Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America should have been tried under the Terrorist Act, or better yet, the RICO Act? It's just a question. All right? Just a question. I just want to know. Maybe they'll answer. Maybe they won't. But here's the one that gets me the most. This is the one, and I'm going to show you how they lump everyone in. They go to right-wing extremism. Defenders of the U.S. Constitution. Well, let's see. I'm neither left or right, but I really do believe and defend the Constitution. I'm not totally against the federal government, but I am against the UN. I haven't been involved in their paramilitary training other than being in the military. Okay? Oh, here's one. Hate groups, skinheads, neo-Nazis, Nazis, black separatists, KKK, Christian identity. Now, I want you to watch that word closely. Christian identity. Now, again, Christian identity just means somebody that identifies with the teachings and values of Christ. Common law movement proponents. Fictitious license plates. Fictitious driver's license. No driver's license. Refuse to identify themselves. Request for authority to stop, which according to law, you actually have that right to ask them why you're being stopped. And attempting to police the police, which means watching them. Left-wing terrorists. Political motivation is usually Marxist-Leninist philosophy. Well, if that's the case, they should have arrested Obama and half the Democrats about a year or so ago. Here we go. Single-issue terrorists. This is the one that really cracks me up. Targeting of law enforcement and emergency personnel, animal rights activists, eco-terrorism, violent anti-abortion extremism. Now, notice, most people who are anti-abortion are just anti-abortion. Maybe 3%, maybe even 1% of those may be, just maybe, violent. But they lump everyone in together. Urban riot agitators. Doomsday or cult type group. I've never seen a doomsday group go out and terrorize anything. Never seen that. But they label Christians, and it's coded in that language, doomsday, because Christians, as Christians, there is a belief of the rapture or the end of days or the Antichrist. All right? Weapons of mass destruction. I'm against any form of weapon of mass destruction. But let's go back to the MIAC report for one moment, because I think it's very telling as to what we need to look at. And it gives you more of a description. Okay, if you go to the original MIAC report, and you go to the bottom, and it shows you this. Here's something that really gets me. The anticipation of an economic collapse of the U.S. government. That's going to happen. Sorry, it already has happened. But it's just, something propping it up. The newer versions of the NWO conspiracy have been coerced in order to empower the movement. The NWO is seen as using law enforcement, military, National Guard, and federal agencies in order to carry out its elitist one world government. Well, let's see. We've had, and I'll put this on my website in the article, but I'm including this video in the article because I want you to see and piece together for yourself where all this is coming from and where it started. Okay? So you go on further down. Possible constitutional convention. Really? NAFTA. Or the North American Union. Well, I'm sorry, that was proven to be true, not a conspiracy theory. RFIDs. True. They've talked about it on numerous television stations. Not a conspiracy theory. All right? Militia and survival training. Well, according to the Second Amendment, we're supposed to have a militia. So, how is a militia illegal unless they're co-opted by the FBI or CIA to create a false flag op? There you go. But here, look at this. I'm going to go all the way down so you can see for yourself. My favorite flag. Don't tread on me. I love that flag. You know what? And I will fly it. I will fly the Confederate flag. Why? Because it's just material. And it's part of history. This is something I learned in basic training. The flag upside down, which would mean if you were in distress. Right now, this nation is in distress. And people are not paying attention to anything. And if you've seen the movie Zeitgeist, or America Freedom of Fascism, or if you read the Turner Diaries, you might be a terrorist. Wow! Really, people? This is all part and parcel of the Trans-Pacific Partnership as well, which is a lot of people do not know about. This is one bill that has been kept locked in a vault beneath the White House or somewhere in that area. And certain senators and congressmen were allowed to go read it, but they weren't allowed to videotape it, weren't allowed to take pictures of it. But there were a couple of people that actually came out against it. Problem is, it's already passed. And there's going to be more information added to the website so you can see for yourself regarding the TPP. So please pay attention, people. This is where it started. And then let's look at Janet Napolitano, who labeled DHS labels liberty lovers as potential terrorists. In other words, if you like freedom, you could be a terrorist. Well, you know what? I must be a piss-poor terrorist, but I do like freedom. Homeland Security says everyone's a threat. See, they're not going, they were never meant. None of this was ever meant to go after Al-Qaeda, ISIS, which, by the way, I'll do in my other report, Welcome to the Crazy Train. ISIS is not what you really think it is. They're not really Islamic, and most of us in the alternative media know this. So let's continue on. Here's what I found so funny. Let's go back to a video with Lou Dobbs. Let's start here. This is what I want people to see.
Controversial report and more damage control from the Department of Homeland Security. The same department that issued a report suggesting returning war veterans were susceptible to extremist groups, also issuing what it calls the, quote, domestic extremism lexicon, end quote. It's like a dictionary with definitions for various extremist or terrorist groups and some definitions. Here's an entry: anti-immigration extremism. The Department of Homeland Security's definition: people who are, quote, highly critical of the U.S. government's response to illegal immigration and oppose government programs that are designed to extend rights to illegal aliens, such as driver's licenses and in-state tuition. Here's another one: single-issue extremist groups. According to the DHS dictionary, there are individuals who focus on a single cause, such as animal rights or the environment. They are also described as special interest extremists. And this, anti-technology extremism.
All right, well, there you
also
go.
referred to as...
That just proves my point all over again. But here's some more. Janet Napolitano had the nerve to defend this. This is why I say people need to be at red level with this, because this is mission creep 101, people. So pay attention to what she says, because she defended her stance on this issue, which to me is very surprising. Couldn't understand why you would even defend yourself on this, Janet. You have to be either smoking crack, smoking pot, or eating something you shouldn't have been, or someone you shouldn't have been. But as this video goes, you'll see what I'm talking about. Janet Napolitano is really a piece of work, people. Really a piece of work. Well, now it just wants to act up and slow down on me. Here we go.
4 years ago today, on this morning, Americans were shocked by a tragedy in Oklahoma City. The first time, there was no Department of Homeland Security, the first time many Americans the term or heard the term Homeland Security. And people in that city will gather today, and I believe we have a live picture of it, for a commemoration marking the 14th anniversary. As we reflect on that day 14 years ago, it is your job now to keep that from happening again. Are we at a greater risk of domestic terrorism events like that today, or lesser?
I think we're at a greater state of readiness.
Really?
The threat of terrorism, whether from a foreign source or domestic source, is now it's with us. We have to acknowledge that.
All right, let's stop right there for a minute. Foreign sources or domestic sources? Again, she includes the American people, but she uses it under the guise of, well, possible returning veterans might be recruited for terrorism.
We have to minimize the risk of it, and we have to be ready to deal with it. And I think with the Department of Homeland Security, all the changes that have occurred since Oklahoma City, since 9/11, there has been improvement.
As you know, a recent report from your department raised a lot of eyebrows and caused a bit of controversy, because in that report you said this, that the Department of Homeland Security assesses that right-wing extremists will attempt to recruit and radicalize returning veterans in order to exploit their skills and knowledge derived from military training and combat. The willingness of a small percentage of military personnel to join the extremist groups during the 1990s because disgruntled, disillusioned, or suffering from the psychological effects of war is being replicated today.
Stop right there. Is being replicated now is because they're the ones creating it. You know, you have to go back to how the FBI created some of the terrorists that they claim that they stopped when it was their creation. But she goes on.
Is being replicated today. You have active intelligence that tells you people coming back from Iraq, coming back from Afghanistan, who might be mad at the military, who might simply have post-traumatic stress disorder, are being actively recruited by extremist groups?
Certainly.
No, she says, certainly.
And our department is not the only department that has made that comment. The FBI has made the same comment. Other groups have made the same comment.
So what they effectively did now was lump veterans into being possible terrorists. Again, I say to you, people, this is not a joke. This is something we should all take serious. Even Obama's choice made a statement that even Christians could be classified as terrorists. So here we go with this one. And you'll see how they lump everyone in one spot.
Also, Homeland Security says people who oppose abortion or worry about the threat of illegal aliens could pose a radical threat to America. They're the ones we need to be watching at Homeland Security. Why are conservative values suddenly being singled out as a terror threat?
You got a bloody right to say right. You bloody well right. You know you got a right to say. You bloody well right. You know.
All right, so stop right there. Let's talk about what they call conservative values. Okay. In other words, if you don't believe in abortion, if you don't believe in illegal immigration, which you have the right not to believe, you may be a possible terrorist. Do you see how they're inching and incrementing the way they do things, people? This, like I said, is not a game. They are coming after the people who believe in freedom. They are trying and attempting to stifle free speech, period, and make it illegal.
Report from the Department of Homeland Security sent to law enforcement agencies across the country warning about the potential for an increase in right-wing extremist activity. It warns about groups and individuals dedicated to single issues like abortion, immigration, and gun rights, and even raises a red flag about veterans returning home from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Some people, understandably, when they caught word of this today, have issues today. J. Alan Sekulow, Chief Counsel of the American Center for Law
and again, they try to push the issue. Again, pushing the issue of Christians, people who believe in freedom, anti-abortionists. Hell, you could be an ecologist. You could be somebody that believes in conserving the planet. You may now possibly be considered a terrorist. Now, like I said, below this video, you will see all the links and the information. Please pass this information out to everyone you know. This is something critical, people. This is not a game. They are coming after us. This country is gone, and it's dying because of them. And if we don't make moves now to talk to these folks, talk to your friends, talk to your family, call your congressman, call your senators, call the Department of Justice and ask questions. I am challenging everyone that reads and watches this video to call the Department of Justice. Ask what this is about. Let them know you are not happy with this, because this was done without the advice or the consent of Congress or the American people. Obama, Cheney, Bush, Clinton, none of these bastards give a damn about the American people or our Constitution or our way of life as American people. This needs to end. Literally, it needs to end. So, my challenge to you: contact your congressman, contact your local papers, go look up the information and research yourself, and call the Department of Justice. Flood those lines with numbers. Let them know that you know and you're aware of them usurping their constitutional duties. Again, I'll be up and reporting more on the next Welcome to the Crazy Train report, where we watch Senator Tom Cruise take on Mr. Mayer, who is the president now of the Sierra Club. And it will show you how the politically correct are really stupider than you think. Again, I'm Nate Kemp reporting for World Politics.